Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush amdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen, ishbata.
Bukhair Agile, Ni Hao, Turashume, Washwale, Ohio, Genzaimes, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaifa Hal, Hale Shumachatore, Ahlan Wasal, Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabia, Bali Karea. And very good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning on a very, I would say, rather lovely day over here in Islamabad,
Absolutely.
ladies and gentlemen, on a Thursday morning. With me, I have the very beautiful, the very amazing, the very talented, the very wise, Ms. Shiza Hashmi, and I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and we hope that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well. What about you, Shiza? How are you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you so much.
Wow.
And I think I'm doing better after listening to you calling me wise. Wow, where did that come from? But thank you so much for being so generous early in the morning. I hope you're good too. And well, yes, the weather over here in the Twin Cities, especially I feel like in Islamabad, is so lovely. Just this morning, I was getting ready at home while having my coffee at my terrace and whatnot. I just did not feel like coming to work. But
Wow.
then I had to because I just love my job and whatnot. But Alhamdulillah, it was beautiful.
I think it's great, so whenever the weather's nice, you want to put up a little music and, you want to drive to work and you just feel as if you're on top of this world as well. And, there's one more thing which actually kind of helps you to feel that you're on top of this world, and that is having enough sleep last night.
Oh,
Because, for people
absolutely.
like us, we have to be up really early. And, if God forbid you're missing out on your sleep, you really do not feel good. You feel pathetic at times as well, but you really have to push through. But what I have witnessed in my life, ladies and gentlemen, is that people who push through are the people who are going to reach their destiny. So please make sure that even if you are having a pathetic morning, God forbid, that you push through. And inshallah, there will be days when you'll be feeling absolutely stunning and fabulous.
Yes, that is really true. But we have a good news to share with you
Yeah?
guys, and I think being Pakistanis, we're taking immense pride in this. So without further ado, we're going to tell you so that we can actually share the pride as
Let's do
well.
that. Okay, let me guess. Let me guess. Okay,
Okay.
let me guess. Yeah. Does it have to do something with Olympics?
Yes,
Oh my
actually,
God.
yes, and a lot to do with physical activity itself.
All right.
So, last year, I came across a girl on Twitter who was continuously playing different matches of badminton. To okay, I'm pretty sure there must be some jargons to it, but I'm just going to use
Yeah, go
layman
ahead. Go
language.
ahead.
So, just to get that rank, of course, when you have the rank or the seed number, whatever it is,
Okay.
then only you can get into international competitions. So Manur Shahzad was doing a great deal learning badminton and, trying to sort of compete with anyone she could find. And she did make it to international competitions. But now, finally, Shahzad, on behalf of Pakistan, she's going to be playing badminton in the Olympics,
Wow.
mashallah, mashallah. And she writes that it is going to be the first time ever.
Exactly. So,
Wow.
congratulations to Manu, Shazad, and her entire family. And obviously, when you have the name Shazad attached to yourself as well, I know that you're
I
destined to do
saw it
something,
coming.
that you're destined to do something great. But obviously, we
Yeah.
take pride in people who, ladies and gentlemen, have achieved so much over the years. And finally, now, since she will be representing for the very first time in badminton, that too in Olympics, I believe that it's a great job done by her as well. And so, yeah, we wish you best of luck, and we want you to bring back a gold medal as well.
Inshallah, inshallah. Even if not, I mean, you're still our pride. But Shazad, I have a question for
Yeah,
you.
go ahead.
Every one of us knows that now, mashallah, I think for more than a year, you're hooked to working out or gym
Yeah,
for that
yeah,
matter.
yeah,
But so I'm going to start with an example first of all.
yeah.
I think because of the kind of military background or the environment we had, we would start our days with either probably swimming or probably, in the evening we would make sure to end our day with cycling slash basketball slash badminton
Yeah,
whatsoever. So I feel like that was our lifestyle.
yeah,
And I got married in the pandemic, which means ever since I got married, I cannot go out to do anything, a
yeah,
physical activity,
yeah.
which is really bothering me. Is there something you used to do and you cannot, and it's like really taking a toll on your health?
I mean, obviously, when everything was under lockdown and, we couldn't go out and gyms were shut, so, it kind of took a toll on our mental health and our physical
True.
health as well, which is why, people were started to look for alternatives. And, you can see, even in the evenings, if you go around somewhere F6 and F7, you'll see a lot of people bicycling. And I
Yeah.
think that this is something which everybody kind of looked forward to. Because, speaking about bicycling, Shazad, the best part is that, it reduces the risk of strokes, diabetes, cancers, and there are a lot of other things as well which are related to that. Not just that. Imagine that if there are going to be lesser vehicles on the road,
Yeah.
there will be lesser emissions. Not just that, that there will be lesser emissions. Obviously, anybody who wants to reach to an educational institution, to a hospital or anywhere else, there won't be any congestion too on the road. So everybody would kind of make peace with whatever they kind of encounter on their way. You know, it's just because of the fact that, you know, we are so happy that every day that when we were driving to work, we really do not, it's not that rushy because the schools aren't open, you know, the people
Yes,
are
but
not
they
going
will
to
be soon.
universities as well. But imagine everybody going to work on their bicycles as well. In Islamabad, it's pretty much possible because we have a dedicated bicycling lane or cycling lane
Yes,
for that matter.
luckily, absolutely. Well, I hate saying this, but I do love staying in Islamabad. And Shazad, the way you said everyone going to work on bicycles, I'm going to paint you a picture from a city in Netherlands where it is so common. Actually, in every part of Netherlands, it is common. But I'm
Okay.
going to cite an example of, in 2019, I think there was a Brexit meeting that was to be held in The Hague. And the then Prime Minister Theresa May actually went on her luxurious car, and the Dutch ministers actually had to verbally say that respect the bicycle. Because imagine, even their Prime Minister uses a bicycle to reach
Yeah.
places. So I think that is their understanding of a healthy lifestyle. I really want to adopt onto that.
And not just that, while since you have mentioned about, Prime Minister, which really does not belong to our continent as well, I want to speak about my own Prime Minister,
Of
ladies and
course,
gentlemen,
of
Mr. Imran
course.
Khan, who's actually a dedicated, obviously, all of his life, he's been the best all-rounder in cricket, he's been the best superstar as well. But I believe that, he has inspired a lot of people to kind of involve themselves in any sort of physical activity because we have videos of him kind of walking over the hills as well, and that too wearing weights with him as well, going to the gym. There are so many videos of him where he's working out, and he's working out, probably better than any 20-year-old who's never ever been to a gym as well. So I think that, PTA actually brings in that culture of being smart and
Yes,
healthy and fit as
true.
well, which we all love as well, which is why we actually have a small report to share. And once you guys are going to come back, there's a reason why we're talking about bicycles today. What is that? Well, you'll have to figure it out. Let's go. Let's take a look. Good morning.
Regular physical activity of moderate intensity, such as walking, cycling, or doing sports, has significant benefits for health. World Bicycle Day draws attention to the benefits of using bicycle, a simple, affordable, clean, and environmentally fit sustainable means of transportation. The bicycle contributes to cleaner air and less congestion and makes education, healthcare, and other social services more accessible to the most vulnerable populations. Meanwhile, in Pakistan, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs organized an event under the theme of Pedal for a Green Future, led by Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi. Members of the diplomatic corps and the United Nations agencies based in Islamabad, along with representatives from the Foreign Ministry, cycled from D Chalk Constitution Avenue to the Foreign Office building. The aim of the event was to encourage and promote the use of bicycles for the reduction of carbon footprint, noise pollution, and vehicular emission. According to the World Health Organization, safe infrastructure for walking and cycling is a pathway for achieving greater health equity. For the poorest urban sector who often cannot afford private vehicles, walking and cycling can provide a form of transport while reducing the risk of heart disease, stroke, certain cancers, and diabetes. Accordingly, improved active transport is not only healthy, but it also is equitable and cost effective.
Okay, well, I feel like I already really want to go out in this beautiful weather and do
Yeah.
bicycle with my friends as well. But why are we talking about it? Yes, you did already learn. Today happens to be the International Bicycle Day for
Yeah.
all the UN member states, and there's a reason for observing it. And I think one of our guests actually really perfectly put it that you don't have to dedicate one day to, well, one sport for that matter or one cause for that matter. Every day is a bicycle day, but
Yeah.
having a date to this means that today we have to discuss it or probably raise awareness about it. So
Yeah,
let's do that.
exactly. And she's adding on to that. I believe that it's more of a ripple effect. The way you throw a stone into the water and then you see the waves start to come back to you as well. So this is why we observe every single day, ladies and gentlemen, where we want it to resonate every other day as well. Where we're not specifically talking about it, but we want it to be a part of your life. So know how these amazing guests have actually made it the part of their life and how it has had an positive impact or how they've transformed their lives just by adopting to a healthier activity is something which we want to talk about. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by a certified coach. He happens to be the General Secretary of the Islamabad Cycling Association. He is Muhammad Haroon General. Hello, Assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you very much for joining us. Wonderful to have you, and I like your name. It's a lovely name as well, Muhammad Haroon General. General Sahab, thank you very much for joining us once again. And alongside Muhammad Haroon, ladies and gentlemen, we're lucky that we've been joined by somebody who happens to be a cyclist, She's been involved in different activities ever since she was in the school, and we still want to talk about it as well. Where I was when in my school, we used to take our bicycles to our schools, kind of ride them all day long. Our teachers will take you out, and there there is a certain part of me which developed because of the fact that there were these extra co-curricular activities in our schools as well. So we're lucky that we've actually been joined by Miss Maliha Noor. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm good, Ji. Thank you for having me over in your
Thank
show.
you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you. And yeah, Shiza wants to start the conversation, so go ahead. Yes.
I want to learn. All right, I think we have to really begin with the basics. Beginning with you, Mr. Haroon, the importance of this day, of course. Why do we need to have a day dedicated to this? And then Pakistanis in understanding the importance of cycling.
Well, actually, the day that we need it for, because as you said yourself,
Yeah.
we need to promote it.
Yes. You said that. I stole your words.
Yeah, thank you. So the reason we need to promote it is because we need to go towards a healthier lifestyles. As Shahzad put it, like we had extracurricular activities in the schools and everything like that. So what happened basically over the years that went down. Slowly and steadily, the kids started shifting towards the mobile phone, the tablets, and that digital era came up, and everyone started towards going there. So we needed to have that shift back towards this healthier activities. It's not just cycling; it's basically healthier activities.
Got it.
So people got there. They started with healthier activities, but again, along the way, cycling got left behind. The reason it got left behind because there was a taboo, especially in Pakistan. You mentioned Pakistan, like cycle. Oh, you must be a poor person who's riding a bicycle.
Yeah, that's true.
I used to be a senior official once, and I was riding my bicycle, and my staff went like, "Sir, you're riding a bike?" I said, "Yes, I'm riding a bicycle. What's the problem in it?" No, sir, you're such a senior person. How can you ride a bike? So that's the mindset we generally had.
Yeah.
So having days like this actually helps us change that. And lets people understand that it's not something that you do it for anything else. You're doing it for yourself.
Absolutely.
You're doing it to go somewhere. You're saving the environment as well. As you said, carbon emissions. They help us reduce a lot of vehicles. A lot of people I've seen in our small city. Karachi is a much bigger city. Islamabad is such a small city. You want to go from one place to another place. You want to go get the rotis or something. You're taking a V8. You're driving over there.
Shahzad feels attacked. He does that.
No attacks to you. I'm giving a general comment.
Yeah, I get that.
But the idea
At
is
times I do feel ashamed about it as well, but you do not have any other option because
That's true.
while growing up, my mother actually dedicated those bicycles to, people who used to work at our places. So I never got out to buy another bicycle, so there's no other choice.
And that's the common
I do it
notion.
as well.
Yeah,
I
but
did
I
it.
agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did it as well
Yeah,
because I didn't have a V8 or anything, but I had a car.
still, yeah.
But
Mashallah.
so I took my car, get those things, and come back. And then I said to myself, why am I doing this? Why can't I just walk or take a bike or anything of that sort? So that's the mindset you need to get into.
Yeah, true.
So being a sportsman, late 90s, I was riding and everything, fit like anything. As soon as you leave sports, you tend to gain a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So same thing happened. Then my kids got older. I said, they need to do what I used to do.
Right.
But how can I do it? How can I do it so that they learn from it?
Yeah.
Because I did it because my father used to do it. My parents used to do it. They were like into healthier activities. So I need to be that example. So that's what we need to do. We need to be examples in ourselves. Everyone needs to actually portray that, yes, you can do it. Age doesn't matter. Age is just a number. I always say this because there are a lot of people.
I say that to a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't sell,
They don't
seem to
believe
buy
it.
that. Yeah.
That's the thing. When you see a really, like we have people like 74, 75 who are riding and they go a long way. We've had him, he's a Mr. Pakistan as well. So
just recently.
recently.
Yeah.
No, Mr. Pakistan in the 70s.
Okay.
And he wasn't into biking or anything, and he came along and he said, "Oh, I want to ride." I said, "Yes, why not?
Wow.
Please." He started, and now he's a very enthusiastic cyclist. So, coming back to your question, sorry, we deviated a lot.
No problem.
So, how can we promote that in Pakistan? Actually, we need to have activities done. There are two aspects to cycling.
Yeah.
One is the basically sports part, and the other is in the daily lifestyles. So, sports and this go hand in hand. Why? Because once you have those competitions, because in schools we used to have those competitions. Oh, I won the race. Oh, I want to go for. So that sense of competition, and once you get that, you translate that into your lifestyle. I was listening to somebody the other day. He said, sports, the best part about it, it teaches you how to lose.
True.
And which is so important to learn.
Exactly. That's the problem. We need to learn how to lose. We don't know how to lose. Everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to be an A grade.
But we still lose, right?
We lose.
Yeah.
But to deal with it, you have to learn. That is, I understand, definitely.
Exactly, and I want to build up on that as well. But before we build up on this, I would love to move on to Miss Malia over, because there's something which I can recall. So when I was very young, I'm still young, but yeah, when I was very young, so what used to happen was that Islamabad is actually designed in a way where you will find one park at least in every sector of Islamabad. So, the community used to come together and they used to do this annual, sports thing for the entire sector, which we used to live
Really?
in. Yeah, and we
Oh.
used to have bicycle races, races, relay races, and all of that as well. Since you have been involved in arranging so many other festivities, related to sports as well, what I want to ask you is that, why do you think that that culture went away? Because, everybody was so enthusiastic about sending their kids to such amazing activities as well, and then be there, cheer them up and whatnot. Just like it used to happen in 1990s or 80s Hollywood films, where we would see parents pushing their kids as well. So now I believe that, that we are hybrid parents. I'm sorry to say that, and it's because of the fact that we kind of lost track of what our parents or probably their parents used to do. In fact, my grandfather only used to have a Sorab cycle, and then my father used to steal it, with a kanchi, and then, go places, and they used to go intercity and intracity as well. So how do you think that we can bring back that culture so that people come towards these activities?
I feel every individual matters in this aspect.
Okay.
First of all, we need to really push the females, the ladies of the family to come out for this activity. The main thing is that
These
maybe
days we
they
even
feel
have to push them out of the room, yeah, to come.
actually, yes, actually, yes, at times. But the working ladies, they are working during the day, and then during the evening, they are busy with their household work and all. So in this current era, I feel that there is very less family time happening overall. So since the gadgets have taken over and the children are all very indulged into the gadgets and all, so I feel once the mothers would come out, step out for these activities, maybe there is some push for them. And as I said, that every individual matters. So if a working lady with a little baby with her, she comes out on a cycle, maybe she can have a cycling seat with her for that, or something like
So
that.
much fun.
So
I like the picture of
that's
Yeah.
what we have done as well.
I mean, okay, I literally get what you're trying to convey over here, but there's always a way around. For imagine that, for every European country you're going to go to, everybody's on the road, whether with a cycle or whether on their foot, and they would make sure that, before their kids wake up, they are going to get done with their workouts, so you obviously have to find a routine that, hey, you know what, this is how we can do it. Since my sister lives in England, so I follow her. She would wake up at 6 in the morning, make sure that she's going to go have a run for an hour, come back and then attend her family and, kids and husband and whatnot, and do all the chores as well. Now imagine that the women of our house, alhamdulillah, are not waking up till 11 in the morning.
Who are those women? I
then,
want to be
and
those
then,
women.
okay, I'm not targeting anyone,
yes,
but this is something
generally
which comes from my own personal example,
Okay,
It does
okay.
not come from anybody else's example.
Okay.
Imagine, and then, at night, they're like, we do not get time to work out. I mean, for somebody who's going to get up at 12 in the morning, half of the day is gone, where are you looking for that time? This is something which I want to ask you, that, how do you bring that culture back in your household as well?
I think where Shazad is absolutely right, because there's a research which
Yeah.
is backed, which is backing this fact that especially, particularly in Southeast Asia, women or females are definitely more physically inactive than men, and there's a cultural aspect to it. There must be so many aspects to it. So adding this to Shazad's question, what would you say?
Thank you, Shazad.
I wanted to make it neutral, honestly. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. Actually, first of all, I think women in Pakistan who actually work are getting up early. There are not a lot of women that generally don't get up that early. So I just like to clear that.
Yeah.
Because, mostly working women, they actually have to work on the house as well as on their job aspects. But yes, it's not just the women who are actually creating that problem. It's the men as well. From a perspective of that we generally have our lifestyles that we delay everything. So we get up, nobody wants to get up in the morning. Oh, we can stay up late. Why stay up late? Actually, that's where the problem starts.
Yeah.
So that's where you need to come back on. So if you bring your time, coming back, let's say you don't sleep at 12, you sleep at 10 or not later than that. So if that's there, you automatically get up early.
Yeah, yeah.
So once you get up early, if you're up, you have to do something. So suddenly you start thinking of things that you have to do.
Yeah.
You start getting out and you think about yourself. So that's one way of doing it. Routine is actually one portion that we have to bring up because our lifestyles generally lack routine. So routine can be
Or
anything.
discipline, probably.
Discipline as well, exactly. So we generally tend to relax about things. So we need to actually say to ourselves, I have to do this. Getting up late is not a problem. If you tell yourself that I have to get up in the morning at 5, you get up. You don't need an alarm clock for that. Your human clock works like that.
Even
So-
on weekends.
Even on weekend, actually, especially on weekends.
Yes, yes.
You can't sleep long on weekends, can you?
Absolutely.
So that's the thing. You need to have that routine. So how to bring that back? Actually, you need to tell the kids that. Actually, we have to start in schools. We have to start at the educational level, that it is inculcated in them that this is what you have to do. For example, you said how can you bring back these different activities? We've got events going up like cycling Sundays. So we've actually instigated that in Islamabad, and it's on other cities as well.
But yeah, Mr. Harun, sorry I'm cutting you here, but I really have to take your concern and throw it on to Ms. Maliha now.
Sure.
Because, well, you are, of course, associated with the private school and doing a lot for them. I get that. So this is coming from, I'm pretty sure he's speaking on behalf of a lot of parents where they see physical inactivity in their kids. So how can you make sure that you start it at school level?
Well, then there is a sports society,
Okay.
and sports society's major task is to bring sports into their curriculum, or to inculcate sport along with the academics as well.
Okay, but Maliha, you know what? I think you can, of course, correct me. Shazad and I have spoken about it before as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
But we used to have game periods or sports period whatsoever. But whenever we would wait for that to happen once in a week, right? And whenever that would come, a math teacher would walk in being "मैं substitute हूँ." I don't want to study math in a physical activity period. How would you? Is it still happening? I mean, it's been long since I went to school though.
बच्चों तुम लोगों ने पढ़ाई सही नहीं की, sports period cancel
Cancel
आओ
हो
आज
गया,
match
हाँ.
खेलें. Things like that.
That's
true.
that's something that used to happen. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't think it's happening now.
Okay.
A lot of schools these days doesn't have those big of grounds. They don't have that facility since the schools have come to small houses. So having a purpose-built campus or having these activities after school can be one solution to that. There are sports clubs which had started after school, so that the studies isn't disturbed during the day,
Okay.
and these activities can happen side by side.
I mean, I truly understand how important studies are, but imagine that, for whatever we have learned, at least from first grade till 8th, they've never asked me again that, what was it which we actually learned. It might be the basic foundation. So rather, we can probably take out more time for sports as well, and, lesser for studies. I think that's important. But now what I want to come down to is that, for example, in schools, I still know that, I always wanted to play basketball. And, when I was at the junior side, I would actually look at the senior side at the basketball court where everybody was playing. And then there will be annual day, and, the best athlete will actually get a trophy this big. And they used to glorify that as well, so that more and more students fall for sports.
Yeah.
Now, imagine that even when we talk about the poorest urban areas, we know that there's congestion, people do not have cars to drive. So we kind of need to glorify cycling and physical activities in a way where other people take inspiration from whoever's doing it. So this is something which is missing. So in a society where we are going to get chapatis on a V8, as you quoted, if somebody's going to go on a bicycle and get chapatis and come back, and if we kind of tell everybody else, hey, you know what, that's the smartest thing to do. In fact, we should do it with our kids at least,
Yeah.
because our parents kind of missed out on, whatever they were doing or whatever we were doing. How can we do that? That, we give so much importance to that person who's actually doing it, who's bringing in physical activity. I mean, one way, obviously, you guys on television, you're speaking about it, we know the importance of it. But how do we do a mass scale awareness campaign that, hey, you know what, people who are into physical activities are the good people and we need to be like them?
Good question.
Okay, quite a few questions,
Yeah.
but
Yes.
I'll try to summarize it from a perspective like every journey starts with a single step. So what you need to do is, I would say, glorify the sports. That's the first thing. Who are our heroes? If you go ask a kid who's his favorite celebrity,
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll name a TV anchor or
Yeah,
something like
somebody.
that, or a movie star or something. They don't name persons like Fazl Mahmood or Imran Khan, or again from a non-political point of view, or
Okay.
let's say Jahangir Khan. So they are not their role models. So actually, that's what we need to do. We need to tell the kids that these are the role models. This is where you need to go. And as sports, this is where you need to go. And again, when you play a sport, you learn how to lose it. So this is what actually is the basic thing that we have to do. We need to actually promote our athletes. And actually, the sad thing is, we had a cyclist. He was in Lahore. I think he participated in the '64 Olympics and represented Pakistan.
Wow.
Yeah, but he was driving a rickshaw.
Okay.
Yeah.
He was.
I saw that video.
You saw that video, right?
He was a boxer, I guess.
No, it was the boxer as well, but there's a cyclist as well.
Cyclist.
Okay. Okay.
So again, irrespective if he's a boxer, a cyclist, or a cricket player, this is generally what happens with our national heroes who have actually represented us, who've actually taken our name forward. So as a country, we need to actually promote them. Yes, a state has to play a role from a perspective of they do play a role. They actually have these different stipends, but state can support to a certain extent. It's never the state who's actually funding everything. If you go abroad, it's basically the private institutes. There are private organizations who are actually funding this. For promotion of sports, we give that India is doing this, India.
No,
But from a
course.
perspective of, I think they have. From cricket, 10% of their earnings goes to 5 different sports per year,
Oh, wow.
and to those sports who are not being promoted that much. So now this is a simple policy.
Right.
So if a government can actually inculcate these kind of policies, because all these different events require some financial support. For example, for cycling, a lot of us are doing it out of our own pockets because we can. But let's say if there is a sport, nobody is interested in it, nobody is enthusiastic about it to actually put in that kind of cash or that kind of effort in it, that's the problem.
Okay.
So I think private companies, private institutes that as corporate social responsibility can start coming in and actually start funding these different events and these different sports, and as a sport as a whole, and glorify them.
And that's exactly right as well. And you know, this is something which I've actually talked about quite a lot of times, even on my PTV Sportswala show as well, where, you know, Jahangir Khan's not going to come back again, ladies and gentlemen. The kind of work they have done, the kind of name they have brought to Pakistan, they're not going to come back. So we kind of really need to look into their lives and learn lessons. And where you said that, you know, it's a corporate social responsibility, you know, well, what they're going to do is that they're going to probably get Shan and then glorify him in an advert and, you know, Tez, 4G se bhi Tez and whatnot. You know, so I believe that, you know, that these are the people who really are heroes, you know, and what we can kind of show in different adverts are not the heroes, ladies and gentlemen.
feel
They are
like
the
with
heroes of
us-
television or probably screen as well. But people who have done great deeds within their lives are the ones we really need to draw inspiration from. And this is the way forward. Let's do it together.
Definitely. I feel like with us, of course, I hate saying this, but we tend to put glamour in all the wrong places or all the wrong arenas for that matter. But thank you so much for being here, both of you. Maliha, towards the end, I want you to give a closing note or probably an inspirational message to Pakistanis so that they can just get up and go bicycle.
I look straight into their eyes.
Yes,
yeah,
that's
and
the
everybody's
camera.
getting bicycles, but not everybody's riding them.
Yeah, absolutely.
True.
I personally believe that everyone should try coming out on the cycles. And as a family, if you come out, you can give more time to your family as well and to this healthy activity. And you can do it.
Exactly, you can do
Definitely.
it, guys. So thank you very much for joining us. It was wonderful to have you. And ladies and gentlemen, imagine that, you know, while I was actually having a conversation before the program with General Saab over here, you know, the best part was that I thought that, you know, that he's actually single. But now I eventually get to know that he's actually got kids. So imagine that this is what healthy physical activity is going to do to you. And age is just going to be a number. You will feel youthful inside as well. And you need to do that as well. But other than that, people who are actually not doing physical activities, what are they going through is something which we'll be talking about in the next segment. Don't go anywhere because we'll make sure that today you're going to learn something new. Good morning.
Stay tuned.
We're going for a break.
Welcome back to Well This Morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shazad Khan. I happen to be Shaza Hashmi. We are here in the PTV World Islamabad studios, absolutely enjoying the conversation and also the weather.
Yeah.
But now, before we did go out on a short break, Shazad spoke about something very important, and I totally stand by that. Having a lot of physical inactivity in your life may lead to numerous health issues. I mean, along with the economic burden that is going to pose to your life and the nation itself, I'm pretty sure there are health issues. And one of them, one of the major reasons for infertility in this particular region is definitely physical inactivity.
Exactly.
How so? I mean, I'm pretty sure that is not the only reason, but it is one of the reasons. Today, in this segment, we are going to be discovering all the other reasons. And Shazad, you have something to say?
Yeah, I have something, and because over here, what happens is that in Pakistan, every time you're going to be in conversation with a lady, majority of the time you're going to come across, यार मैं इतना घर का काम करती हूँ, मैं बच्चे नहलाती हूँ, मैं सब्जी धोती हूँ, whatever,
Pocha job.
and I cook and whatnot. But imagine that that you cannot consider all of that a physical activity. Imagine standing in front of a stove and mixing a few masalas is not activity. Yaar. It really needs to engage your core, it needs to engage your glutes, it needs to engage your legs, biceps, triceps, and everything. So on a very holistic direction, I would rather say that for all of those women who are actually considering house chores physical activity, it's not physical activity, because we do not live in farmhouses. We actually live in, probably, if you're lucky enough, in a canal's house, probably that to a portions rented, 3 rooms and a lounge. How much work can you do within that house? Imagine, please be honest with yourselves in the first place, and whether inactivity kind of contributes to infertility is something which we will be talking
We
about.
will discover, of
and that
course.
obviously comes from men and women both.
Yeah.
And especially, in fact, if we are talking about infertility, I would rather suggest that all of those men who are out there blaming women should get tested in the first place, because those
100%.
tests are cheaper and it looks wiser to do so as well. Rather than blaming your partner, make sure that you get yourself tested
And it's
first.
only
I
natural.
mean, imagine that there are still people out there who kind of blame their wife for not being able to reproduce.
Of course.
And even though when they haven't got themselves tested, imagine you're a stupid guy if you've done that. So, ladies and gentlemen, to talk about this, we're lucky enough that we've actually been joined by somebody who happens to be a robotic surgeon of infertility and IVF surgeon as well. He is Dr. Rizwan Malik. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Assalamu alaikum. It's a pleasure and privilege to be here.
Thank you very much for joining us. And
we
it's
love your
likewise, and I
energy.
like your energy. It's very
Cool.
ecstatic, exuberant early in the morning.
Glad to be here.
But Dr. Rizwan, mashallah, you are one of a kind surgeons in this particular area, of course. Your experience speaks for itself for more than 30 years, which is why you're here to educate and inform us. So let's begin with, what are some of the reasons which might contribute towards infertility in this region?
I think just आपने कहा कि it's very important to have a healthy lifestyle that really contributes towards PCOS. PCOS is a common problem in Asia and Pakistan.
In 1 in 3 women, right?
Right, quite common. And उसमें one of the things is the weight loss. About 20% weight loss treats the PCOS.
Okay.
And then also infertility, about 15% of patients will have infertility. Is defined by not being able to get pregnant in 1 year.
Of the
That's
marriage.
kind of at that point expert advice should be sought.
Exactly. Which is why I want to add on to this as well, because this is something which I've witnessed myself as well, in my friends' cases where, they got married and everybody wants to enjoy in the first year or the second year of the marriage, not to have a baby, responsibilities and whatnot. Do you think that it can be because of the fact that, they waited so long not to get pregnant that eventually it becomes a problem to be pregnant?
Not so really. I think it's okay to wait. I mean, it's really not, you don't have to have that as a stressful event of your life. It's great to get married. It's
do
a
it
good
when you
phase
have
of life.
to do
It's one should really at that stage you're starting life and all that. So it's okay. But when a couple is ready, I think that's where one. So it's really sometimes people blame, like you said, men, they blame a wife, kind of all that. There's no reason to blame. It's really a physical barrier. I mean, I give the example to patients of a car that's not running, to say, hey, you don't have a gas, you don't have petrol. So there's no reason to blame or get frustrated. Just put the petrol, the car will start running. And the battery is dead, change the battery, the car will start running. So these are physical barriers for many reasons, for genetics, the way somebody is born, the genetics, the environmental factors, our cell phones, our diet, plastics that we use, smog that we have,
The food we
all
eat.
those, the food we eat. So all those things affect eventually how our body responds and what
Even cell
happens. So
phones?
it's, excuse me,
Even cell phones
cell phones like radiation. So a
can
lot of that
contribute to you
to
not being able to reproduce.
it's not that reproduce, it's just general environmental toxins, right? So
Okay.
they end up in what we call oxygen radicals. So oxygen radicals then affect our heart health or reproduction or the whole system, if you will. So this is where I think it's helpful to kind of once we are faced with that, it's really just take it as a like any other medical issue. Like you got cough, you got heart attack, you got stroke. You don't blame. You just go to the specialist and listen. Hey, I got a stroke. What do I do?
Yeah.
Got a heart attack. You go to a heart specialist and go do that. So I think in this case the best thing is really to seek the expert advice at the right center and then, like you said, the 40% of infertility is caused by male factor infertility. So
Yeah.
that's what our center has taken the leading role now in Pakistan to treat male fertility. So
Wow.
that's really where we most about 80% of our patients have issues with male fertility.
Wow, that's
So
I mean that's
it's a-
quite a high number as well. And since
Right.
we've kind of identified where the problem is, and we've actually talked in terms of percentages as well. So let's talk about the treatments which are available because people over here in Pakistan, Alhamdulillah, they do not have a feeling of going to a doctor no matter what happens. Even if their heart's beating at probably 40 beats per minute, they'll be like, "Hum fit hain bhai, hum nahi doctor ke jana." So we have this ignorance over here towards our health, anyways.
Gee.
So talking about this amazing, surgical intervention that
Yeah.
you brought to Pakistan and your center as well in the first place. Let's talk about that and how is it beneficial and is it going to cost less? Is it going to cost much more than whatever usual treatments we go through?
Sure. So, kind of traditional treatment. I think the what's exciting about American Fertility Center is now it's a part of the fabric of Pakistan. We started in 2014. Time flies by. It really seems like yesterday that we were putting roots there. We've been in the United States for well over 30 years in practice, but then we wanted to bring all of that technology to Pakistan. A lot of people say, "My God, I'm going to go to America get treatment. I'm going to
Yeah.
go to Dubai get treatment here and there." So the vision was to bring all that to Pakistan and say, "Listen, everything is available in Pakistan for
The same
treatment."
robotic arms and
Same
each and
in-
everything
right.
within that procedure.
Well, it's not robotic. It's more so in towards fertility and IVF centers. So for that we have all of the facility, genetic analysis, genetic treatment, and IVF at its best, ICSI, and all the procedures that are available in the world are brought in our center, done here to treat fertility for both men and women, PCOS, endometriosis, pelvic pain, and all those. So that's the IVF part we have done for years. Part of our kind of
We actually have an
motivation.
animated video of the
Yes.
entire procedure as well. Do you want us to share it with
Yeah,
our
no,
audiences?
right. No, I think that's the idea is to now, as a part of our initial kind of motivation to improve the women's health care, that has been our kind of, if you will, incentive or really our drive of our center has been to improve the health care of the women in Pakistan. That is a big driving force for our center. And as a part of that, what we have introduced is treatment of heavy menstrual bleeding, the NovoSure procedure. And so that's what I think the part of the video, animated
Alright, so-
video we
so-
can see. And
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen,
Can I see
to
what
get
it
a
is?
better understanding of it, we are actually going to share an animated video with you guys as well, and it comes with its own voiceover as well. So please go ahead and take a look. And once you guys will be back, we'll actually ask Dr. Saab about these other surgical interventions where we're talking about robotic arms as well. Because I've gone through a surgery which actually involved a robotic arm. We call it keyhole surgery. We'll come back to it. Let's do that.
Your doctor slightly opens your cervix, the opening to the uterus, inserts a slender wand, and extends a triangular mesh device into the uterus. The mesh expands, fitting to the size and shape of your uterus. Precisely measured radio frequency energy is delivered through the mesh for about 90 seconds. The mesh device is pulled back into the wand, and both are removed from the uterus.
Right.
How
So
is it? No, it's all
Yeah.
right. Well,
So we were actually having an argument, ladies and
I have
gentlemen, while you were
questions.
watching this video. Yeah, please go ahead.
all right. So yes, it was really informative. I'm really happy that this technique is now in Pakistan. But I think I'm going to ask a lot of questions on behalf of every woman out there. Dr. Sir, please explain to us how must it be so harmful to our health if we have heavy bleeding during menstrual cycle?
right. So we switched gears a bit, right? I had different hats, right? First we had a hat on treating infertility and bringing babies in the world, right?
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
was first hat we wore. Second, now we moved, shifted gear towards improving the women's health care and so listen, providing the women of Pakistan with the latest treatment options available out there in Europe or United States. So as women complete their childbearing and in their late 30s, 30, 35, 40, mid 40s, their egg production is compromised. With that irregular egg production, they have heavy menstrual bleeding and to a point that a number of things happen. That heavy bleeding leads to quality of life issues, anemia, exhaustion, fatigue, and cancers are there. So what we do is we look for cancer. If it's cancer, obviously we do a cancer surgery.
Okay.
But if somebody does not have cancer, they're done with childbearing. They've had 2 children or 3, whatever their desired family is. She is somebody who's 35 years of age. Says I'm done with my children childbearing, but I'm just bleeding every day. I can't go to work. I can't do bicycling. Can't go. I just cannot have a meaningful
A normal life, yeah.
Or what I want to
So
do.
would you bring early menopause then?
Right, no, not so. That's a great question. So what we do is, in that case, somebody's having all this bleeding, they traditionally just would go and have a hysterectomy, right? It's a very morbid procedure. It's a big procedure. You get a big cut. Your recovery has multiple complications, and really not what women want or they deserve. So that's where this procedure was invented about 20 years ago. Over 2 million procedures have been performed in the United States, and now over there it's a standard of care, if you will, that when a woman comes in, you do this procedure first before offering hysterectomy.
All right.
So what we do is we burn the lining of the uterus that has menstrual bleeding every month. So out of that, 90%, the data shows of women will be content and very happy, say, my God, I'm so happy I had the procedure done, where I have no bleeding at all or very minimal spotting.
Yeah.
So that's one way to get rid of the menstrual cycle. So great question, menopause. So menopause is when the ovaries stop working, the hormones are not produced. So that's the beauty of this procedure is it's done in about 90 seconds. So literally about a minute and a half.
Oh wow!
And
It's just like a laser thingy you do.
it is, yeah.
Okay.
So it is 90-second procedure. It stops your menstrual cycles for life. And you don't have any changes in hormones. All your hormones are produced by ovaries as regular and normal hormones.
Brilliant.
So obviously you won't be reproducing then, right?
No, that's one
So
of
you're
the
giving
things.
up on that. So you really need to make your mind in the first place if you're going for this treatment, ladies and gentlemen. Because, over here in Pakistan, sir, we would like extra ingredients always. We're more into it. We're a smaller country. We have a population of 220 million. People are having babies at the age of 55 and 60, which we're welcoming as well. So I don't know, everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, please
Miracles
make your
do
mind first of
happen.
all that, okay, we've had enough babies and, we should go for this treatment in the first place.
Right, I think it's more than a compromise between the two. They're having babies versus saying, okay, more for the women, really, it becomes a decision when they're bleeding that much
Yeah,
to say, let's say, it becomes a nuisance, a quality of life issue. It becomes medical problem and quality of life. So they really, at that point, they decide that, okay, instead of having hysterectomy, a more morbid procedure, this is something to do before considering hysterectomy.
Wonderful. And sir, we are glad that you kind of took out time and you were here on the show to speak about this amazing medical intervention where you'll be saving a lot of lives. You'll be saving the livelihood of women as well. So I believe that you're doing a wonderful job. And we kind of want people to kind of get in touch with you if, God forbid, they're going through such problems as well. And to do so, ladies and gentlemen, all you have to do is write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of,
Yes. Well, this morning.
on Twitter,
Well, this morning without a G.
on Dailymotion and GTube.
It is definitely well this morning.
And do you want to say anything towards the end?
Of course. So the repeat of this show you may be able to catch at 5 past
past midnight.
midnight. But I think it is very pertinent to sort of close this segment with us saying that this was us or our effort. Our show is a producer's conscious effort to bring to you the options that are available.
Yep.
So like Dr. Saab mentioned, a lot of women might be there, you know, uncomfortable with the situation of their menstrual cycle. So if you are really looking for an option to sort of treat that, these are the possible prospects you might be finding in Islamabad. But make sure to do your research before you do anything.
Exactly.
Well, so the next time we'll make sure to bring you something even more informative. Till then, take care. Good morning.
Bye-bye. Thank you, sir.